Hi TK, this is Michael from BetterTOEFLScores.com. I hope you are having a great day. You're doing some integrated speaking practice. I have the integrated speaking rubrics here. Let's take a look at your email. You say, "Hi Mike, please listen to evaluate score, provide feedback on my speaking practice test. Though you might not believe it, I practiced more than 1 hour, but I'm not satisfied. I hate to send this unsatisfactory recording, but this is what I can do for now." This is from Official TOEFL IBT Test Volume 1, 4th edition, Practice Test 3, Question 4. I believe it. I really do. I believe it. I knew a student who practiced 1 to 2 hours every day, one speaking practice test. She practiced over 1 hour. She did it for 2.5 months. And believe it or not, she took the TOEFL exam and she got 28 out of 30. So there you go. And I have a quote here about practice. I want you to look at this. "There is no glory in practice, but without practice, there is no glory." Right? Think about that for a minute. So you're frustrated because you're doing your speaking practice, but you can't get it exactly right. There's always something that's going to go wrong. You mispronounce a word, you have a grammar issue, or you forget to use a transition word somewhere. But you know what? As you keep practicing, you'll have fewer and fewer errors, and you'll have more control over your speaking. The main thing is you're improving your speaking fluency right now. This is a gift you're giving yourself that's going to last for the rest of your life. Think about that for a minute. Okay, so let's get right down to it. I'm going to listen to your practice test. I'll give you some comments after the first listening.
According to the professor, there are two types of attention, active and passive attention. She first gives more information about this notion by providing two examples. First, active attention is voluntary. Students are intentionally focused. For example, in a boring biology class about frogs, students have to force themselves to keep active attention. However, this attention continues for a shorter time. On the other hand, passive attention is involuntary. Students are naturally focused without thinking. For instance, in an interesting class about live frogs, students naturally pay attention to the subjects. This kind of attention tends to last longer.
Okay, so there it is. So let's take a look at the rubrics and let's see where your score is right now. Give me a quick second. It isn't terrible. I mean, I think that you organized it very well. You didn't seem to have many grammar issues in there, but you are struggling with your delivery. You had some problems with your R and your L consonant sounds, for example. I think you left out a syllable here and there, some of those longer words that you were using. So there are some delivery issues, but other than that, it's a pretty good response. I'm going to put you at right now 23 to 25 points on this practice test, right? Now let's listen to it one more time, a little bit closer. I'll kind of break it up into three parts.
According to the professor, there are two types of attention, active and passive attention.
Good. So your introduction is good. You use a voice marker to acknowledge this is a lecture coming from a professor. You mention what the 2 points are. So far, your introduction is strong and it effectively forecasts or frames what's going to happen in the response.
She first gives more information about this notion by providing two examples.
Okay.
First, active attention is voluntary.
I want to say voluntary. It's voluntary.
Students are intentionally focused.
Intentionally focused.
For example, in a boring biology class about frogs, students have to force themselves to keep active attention.
Okay, you're kind of forcing out your sounds here. It sounds like you're a little bit nervous. I feel your frustration here. You got to relax a little bit more. You got good, strong speaking skills. Relax and let it come out naturally. You're trying too hard in some parts of this response.
However, this attention continues for a shorter time.
You want to say, however, this attention span continues for a shorter time. So you got to get a little more natural, a little faster, and blend the words within the thought groups.
On the other hand, passive attention is involuntary. Students are naturally focused without thinking. And for instance, in an interesting class about live frogs, students naturally pay attention to the subjects. This kind of attention tends to last longer.
Okay, so there you go. So in this case, I gave you a score already. Let's go back to the rubrics. So a lot of what you're doing, I think it's organized well. That's probably in the four area. I think that you had good control of your language use, which is in the three or the four area. Some of the delivery might be in the two and the three. That's where you're having some trouble. So some problems with pronunciation. So the next time you do your practice test, before you do the practice test, I want you to meditate a little bit. I know this sounds crazy, but just try to relax. Take a few deep breaths. Tell yourself, I can do this, right? I can deliver this response. I can have the varied tone. I can use the appropriate sentence rhythm. I can pronounce my sounds correctly. Now, you know the R and the L because your first language is Japanese. You're not going to get that 100% of the time, right? But just concentrate on your overall intelligibility, speaking as naturally, as quickly as you can, and let's see what happens with it. Okay, so I said 23 to 25 points on this practice test, mainly due to some problems with delivery. So as you practice in the pronunciation part of my course, go through some of the sentence and the paragraph readings and try to read them as naturally and as quickly as you can, following my lead. Follow my recording. It's called tracking. You're going to kind of read out loud right behind me as you go through those lessons, and that will help you with your overall pronunciation of American English. And keep up the good work. And remember the quote here. Let me go back to this quote that we said in the beginning. There is no glory in practice, but without practice there is no glory. So even though what you're doing right now is not a lot of fun, but imagine when you take the TOEFL test, like one of my students emailed me yesterday, and you get 29 or 30 points on the speaking section. How are you going to feel then? Right? Think about what you will accomplish, right? So practice hard now, and you will get those results you're looking for later.